we are very clearly, understatement of the day, in a conservative province, right? There's no doubt about that in Alberta. And I think a couple months ago, we would have been talking about this massive conservative majority, but according to the polls, it's now a race. And I'm wondering how that sits with you.
I just feel like after the past 9-10 years of this government, that to me, it's really sad that we can't be willing to be brave enough to accept maybe change is the way to get onto a better trajectory.
Does that connect with you?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I have a feeling that we're talking about two different parties, but
Conservative Party.
Well, it's just interesting to me that this kind of feels like more of the same. It's really a two-horse race, even though there's technically 6 parties or more if you count some of the smaller ones. And it's a little bit weird to me that we seem to always only really be picking between 2 when there's other viable options out there.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking not Liberal, not Conservative.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I'm a firm NDP supporter and basically always have been.
I agree with your guys' points on that, but I like competition. I think it's very good that it is tight right now. They're going to make smart moves, hopefully, and smart promises and be able to back those promises.
Okay. What about you? How does this tight race sit with you?
For me, it makes perfect sense that there was a flip. The reason this has flipped is because of Pierre Poilievre. He is Trump light, and people don't trust him. Justin Trudeau getting out of office was the best thing that could have happened, and it's one of the biggest reasons as well that this race has changed. We need someone who is level and even, and who also has a spine and can deal with this threat to the south.
Cody, as I understand it, you work at a cattle feed farm. You also work in oil and gas. Like, you got a lot going on.
It's busy, yes, very busy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, like when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're staring at the ceiling right now, what is it that you're thinking about?
I'm thinking about, as a country, we need to succeed. We need to be active in our business sector so we can look after the rest of Canada. We need to be forward-thinking, getting away from goals of these zero emissions and things like that. We need fossil fuels. We live in it's cold, right? So, things going through my head at 3 in the morning aren't necessarily the hot topic of Trump or how the election's actually going to play out. It's how are we going to get Canada on track? How is my business going to fit in going forward?
Okay. What about you? What's your 3 a.m.?
I would say affordability. I think that is something that is pressing down on everybody, but it's really closely tied with the threat coming from the United States. I'm really worried about it. I feel like the days are gone where we could treat Donald Trump, and what he says as entertainment. I take him seriously when he talks about making us the 51st state. I think this is a critical election for all of us.
So if I can add something to that, the Trump scares right now, they are scary, right? But now I feel like our politicians have maybe went on the side of a little bit too extreme, a little bit too pushed back when they are kind of the bully, right? So I think it would be very wise for us to be working on a solution. There's 2 ways to go with oil and gas pipelines. There's lots of things we could be doing. That work, I hope, is happening, because what if we lose the states? Are we going to sit here and be like, oh no, Trump did us? But we have opportunity. We just need to work. It's the same when the cattle market falls. We find a different avenue. We feed those cattle longer. We find a different avenue.
Obviously, the tariffs are 100% something to talk. I do think that they are somewhat a distraction to pull away from like the last 9-10 years that we've had with housing crisis, affordability, immigration, everything. You can the list, it comes from the past 9-10 years. And this threat just is the cherry on top for me. And I think the most important thing is being self-sufficient. What does that look like for Canada? To me, that's building pipelines. And we can do that and be responsible and get our ethical and clean energy out. We, as Albertans, we do care about the environment. People have a misconception of that.
You work in gas turbines. I know you have family all over this country. Mm-hmm. Do they get you? Do they get you as an Albertan?
Absolutely not. But that's because, and this is like the unfortunate thing of politics, is that either way, if you say I'm a Liberal, I'm a Conservative, I'm an NDP, right away it'll get branded with a stamp. And it's like you're Conservative and an Albertan, they just automatically assume
you're lumped in,
that you don't care about the environment and rednecks and all of that stuff, and that's not true. And most people in Alberta are more central on like the political scale. We are definitely hurt by people are automatically, I believe, out east don't want to even vote Conservative because they relate it to this
Stigma.
stigma of what
There's
Alberta
a
looks like.
stereotype
There is,
of
yeah.
Albertans, and I understand that some stereotypes are well earned, but Albertans are some of the greatest people, the most loyal people. They look out for each other. I've seen it happen time and time again here in Medicine Hat. When someone is struggling or something happens in the community, people step up, and that is true across the province. And I don't think that that gets recognized enough, and I think some empathy and compassion would go a long way.
Bad news travels way faster.
Absolutely.
Do you connect to that? Because you're like a transplant, Adam, right? Like, I know that you came rushing from your restaurant. You were cooking this morning. You're heading back.
I'm going back,
cooking.
yeah.
But you were also spent a lot of time in Toronto, right? But you're back home now.
Yeah, a good chunk of my career was in Toronto. It's interesting because when you get kind of an hour and a half in any direction outside of Toronto, it doesn't look and feel terribly different from small town Alberta, right? Rural Ontario is just as blue as Alberta is. And really a lot of those common themes that run through, I think are very similar. So in some ways we're probably talking about small towns versus big cities as opposed to like the actual regional areas or the provinces themselves, right?
What do you need the next government to do?
I want them to work on strengthening our partnerships with allies, allied countries. I want them to foster a better relationship with the United States, but like I said, someone who has a spine but can work with others. And we need unity. We need unity more than ever.
Those are all amazing points. And what I hope that they bring to the table is letting Canada be more self-sufficient and putting that first and getting our cost of living down. And that's like from end to end of Canada. We're all feeling it.
Everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere I talk, that's a huge thing. Bringing in the immigration, actually tighten that.
Look after ourselves
Look
first
after
before
ourselves.
we're...
And when you have a lot of money and stuff, it's maybe great to have a lot of social programs, but I think that there's a fine line of that. I believe that Pierre is way more in touch. He grew up a normal kid in Calgary, and I think that he has more relatable lifestyle. That means a lot to me. I want someone in there that's going to be able to relate, that can think back like, hey, what was it like growing up and what does Canada need, and has their full value here. And I just believe that Mark Carney is not that.
Can I very quickly summarize what you just said? We need to tighten the belt and get to business. When the business is thriving, we're all going to do well, right? So yeah. So honestly, that's what I think is if we get back to business and look after ourselves.
I really disagree that Pierre is the person to do this. I see nothing about him that is relatable. He may have had humble beginnings, but that man is wealthy, and he has spent his entire career being a politician.
Have you put him next to Mark Carney though?
Yes. Mark Carney is also very, very wealthy and well off and highly educated. They are, I would say, probably a step above all of us in how comfortable they are in their daily lives.
Oh, several steps.
Pierre, yes, more than that. Middle class, they can't even touch it. They have no idea what middle class feels like.
Like Pierre, he's done hard work. He has been a career politician, but he's started as just a normal person. And I don't love politicians myself, but at the same time, like if you just listen to his platform, everything he's hitting on is just basic, common things that are like what we want.
I think Pierre has spent the better part of a decade shouting into the void that Canada is broken, how everything is so wrong here. And now I'm hearing him change his tune.
We are broken right now. Like there's people
Arguably,
going
we've
bankrupt. There's people can't afford to live. We are broken right now, and we're all feeling it.
And I think we should be able to admit that and it not be like shameful. It's that is our reality right now.
I haven't heard anything in the way of details. I mean, he's been the opposition leader now for several years, and his party has been in opposition for a decade. So that would have been a great time to build an actual plan full of detail.
We're taking a chance either way.
The Liberals have never gave us.
But Harper was in power for a decade, and he didn't build any cross-Canada pipelines. Why didn't the oil go to market in other countries then? Because it was way easier just to ship it south and not build refineries.
He put lots of money into it.
Right,
and
but we're not self-sufficient.
On the paper, and Justin Trudeau canceled in 2016.
Sure, but prior to that, I mean, God, we could have built refineries in the 80s when oil was absolutely through the roof. Like, we could have built refineries 40 years ago, and we could be refining our own oil. We would not be in this position if those refineries got built and if cross-Canada pipelines got built.
So why didn't they do it in the
conservative
past
governments
9 years?
have
Yeah,
failed
they had
just as
9
much
years
as
to
the
build
liberals
it.
have.
Yeah, they had
If
9
they
years.
were any different,
Sure.
and I totally agree with you.
But
why
you
didn't
can't stay in a 9-year vacuum. Like, this is a 50-year
Yeah,
problem.
and 100%.
Right?
So
I mean, it's currently it's to do directly with the Trudeau Liberals, but it goes back a lot further than that.
When we come back, the unity conversation.
Separation for Alberta could not possibly happen.
I don't think
It is-
anybody
what are we gonna
actually
do about
wants
passports?
that.
No,
Like,
nobody, and I
but-
said it too. I
so
don't
then-
want that.
So
but
then stop talking about it, and please, Premier, stop talking about
It's
it,
a
and
really
stop
dangerous
pretending that it's
thing
a
to say.
viable option.
We're in this moment, right, where people talking about Canada needs to succeed, Canada needs new markets, Canada needs to do more. That is wrapped up in parts of this country with that whole elbows up movement. Can you relate to that elbows up movement? How does that make you feel?
It's great to use as a unifier, a rallying cry. I certainly like it a lot more than Canada First. That is a little bit too close to the South for me. But we need to see real plan, real action.
I feel a different
That's where
energy
we started
coming
at.
from you.
I'm not a huge slogan person. It's, again, a very distractive way to just get everybody being like, yeah, like, let's talk about elbows up and like unity, and people like jump on board when it's like maybe what you're jumping on board for isn't actually good.
we had 9 years to put our elbows up, and it hasn't happened. Like, we're in trouble. I don't think they have the capacity, the brains, we'll call it, to put Canada back on track in, and that's my opinion.
You know, when your Premier Danielle Smith talks about the prospect of a unity crisis, right? If the Liberals get in, if certain demands aren't met, right? And then Preston Manning says, you know, effectively a vote for the Liberals is a vote for sort of the breakup of Canada. Are they putting ideas out there, or are they reflecting conversations that you're hearing in your world?
The separation thing, I'm not a fan of it, but I'll tell you that right now at this time, it is something very talked about. It isn't a joke anymore. It is, we need to stand up for ourselves in Western Canada, and Danielle, I don't think she threatened that. It's a statement. It is truth. She needs to stand up for Alberta, and we need to make sure we're able to survive and contribute like we have before. And I think it was great she stood up for us. I really do.
I think there's an emotional point behind that where, like, logistically speaking, it's not realistic. And everybody knows that, but it's just the emotion of being frustrated that
pushed that far.
Yeah, that it pushes
business
people
owners,
to, like,
the industries have been pushed, and in all issues, we've been pushed so hard by this government, and it's too far.
I think that the language around this kind of thing from both Smith and Preston Manning is so insidious. She's very much moving that party to the right in a very kind of dangerous way, and courting the extreme side of that thing. And I think Poilievre is doing that to some degree as well. The risk of sounding harsh, like, it's still a joke because it is completely impossible to do. Separation for Alberta could not possibly happen. I mean, there's so many things. What are we going to do with the highways and railways that run through already? What are we going to do about Indigenous issues? What are we going to do about currency? What are we going to do about the military? Like, I mean,
I don't think
it is-
anybody
what are we going to do
actually
about
wants
passports?
that.
No,
Like,
nobody, and I
like,
said it too. I
so
don't
then-
want that.
So
but
then stop talking about it, and please, Premier, stop talking about
It's
it,
a
and
really
stop
dangerous
pretending that
thing
it's a
to say.
viable option, because
agree.
you're giving hope to people who frankly might not know any better.
The common thread is there is a very real anger and frustration among all Albertans across all parties. Albertan disenfranchisement, the feeling completely left out from Ottawa, is real. I think her saying those things is a really dangerous path to go down, and it plays into the darkest side of that frustration and anger. And I too agree, we're going far to the right. I want us to come back towards the center. Most Albertans lie somewhere in the middle.
So people are going to be heading to vote in early polls soon. As people outside this province head to vote, what is something you want them to keep in mind? Start with you.
I would say that we should truly try to listen to each other and respect each other. I live in a very conservative place as a person who is progressive, and I have a lot of friends and I like a lot of people. There's really great people that you can talk to who maybe don't have the same beliefs or values as you. talk to each other. We need each other. So vote on your values, vote on what matters to you, but respect each other, hold on to each other.
I'm going to say, and not to trigger anything, but with that, I think at this election we need to put our feelings aside a little bit, to a degree, and focus on the business. We need a change. I really think if we don't tighten up the straps and get back to business and get us working, get affordability down, we're going to be in big trouble, and I don't think the Liberals can do it. I really think they're going to hurt us.
Cody stole my words.
Sorry.
I 100%.
It's just how it works.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Is that just remember that out here in Alberta, we're all the same as the rest of Canada. We're all moms, dads, brothers, sisters, and we hope that they can maybe stand with us and vote Conservative for a change.
Vote for change sounds like a great idea. I'm really into that. I think that we need to bring some compassion back into things, and that's where I probably sound like the left winger. But it's not about feelings, but I think compassion is important, and I think that there is a party out there who is trying to really work on making things better for everybody, as opposed to certain populations of people.
Hear, hear.
If you get what you want politically, what does Alberta look like in 20 years' time for your friends, your family?
It looks like how it's looked growing up, where honestly we just can afford to live and have a good life.
Yeah, I think it's the industry creates jobs. I would like to see everyone looked after. It don't matter how you vote or what industry you're in or what you're doing here, people need to be looked after.
20 years from now, I'm shooting for the moon here. We have universal basic income. There are virtually no provincial borders anymore. I'm a very strong federalist. I know that that's not a popular thing out here, but I think Canada as a whole would be much stronger than individual provinces battling against one another.
The border thing, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so no barriers.
No barriers.
Okay.
I would echo a lot of the sentiments. Strengthen provincial trade. And I would say I want my kids to want to stay in Alberta. I want them to stay in Medicine Hat. So I dream of a place where hard work pays off again and that we're all taken care of.
Frustrated, hardworking, very sunny Medicine Hat.
Oh, it's a great
Always
place
sunny.
to be.
Best place to
Medicine
grow
Hat's
corn.
the best place in the world. Yeah, I love
on.
it here.
Thank you very much to all of you. That was great.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.